That's on my phone.
All right, Diana. Claudette called me. She is having trouble getting in.
Yeah, I told her you were having issues also. How did you resolve
I
yours?
just typed it in properly.
Okay. That seems to work. So that sounds like an operation or error.
Yeah, it was my error. So I just slowly typed it in instead of quick typing, and it
Okay.
worked.
Well, let's hope Claudette has the same success.
Absolutely.
Hello? Hello? I want to ask you to stop rezoning. And this is George and Mary on Springhaven Circle Northeast, Massillon.
Already?
There she is.
Yay! Okay, goodbye. Welcome to the Massillon City Council meeting for Monday, October 19th. No, welcome to the Massillon City Council meeting for November the 2nd, 2020. We have in attendance with us the following city officials. Diane.
Hello? Hello? Yes, I'd like to.
No. Please, everybody mute yourself. I'll tell you when it's time to talk. Thank you. Diane, you want to do city officials? Diane, are you there?
Mayor Kathy Catazero Perry.
Good evening.
Safety Service Director Barb Sylvester. Auditor Jane Ferrero. Chief Deputy Auditor Debbie Bunk. Law Director Justin Richard.
I'm here, Diane.
Chief Counsel Bill Bartos.
Present.
Chief Engineer David Kroc. Jason Popeil.
Yes, I'm present.
Community Development Director Samantha Walters. Economic Development Director David Maley.
Present.
Steve Pedro. Joe Pate. Carrie Lowry. Maud Slagle. Chief Keith Mosier. Chief Tom Bergasser.
Good evening.
Income Budget Director Lori Katagides Boron.
Present. Hello?
And that's usually all we have. Are there any city officials from administration that I missed? Okay, Claudette.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Under number 5 on the agenda is where the public can speak on any item that does appear on tonight's agenda. And then again, under number 17 is where the public can speak on any item that did not appear on tonight's agenda. I would ask that we keep the noise in the background to a minimum so everybody can hear who's speaking. Roll call.
Kramer.
Present.
Gregg.
Present.
Walter.
Here.
Hernkang.
Here.
Lewis.
Present.
Littman.
Here.
Lombardi.
Here.
Starrett.
Here.
And Barrett.
Present.
Roll call of 9 present.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All present and accounted for. Councilman Hernkane.
I'll take it, Ted.
Yes, Madam President. Thank you, Ed.
If you could all join me in prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Lord God, Heavenly Father, we just ask that you be with us this evening. And thank you for this blessed day. We ask that you grace us with your wisdom and your unity and your peace as we go about conducting the business of our city. Father God, as we go into tomorrow where we choose our next leader, we ask that you give our nation peace, calm, and unity, that we are one people moving together in your word. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
which stands one nation,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. On my sheet, it does say Ted Hearn Kane. So that was not a senior moment. All right. Madam Clerk, are the minutes of the previous meeting transcribed and open for public viewing?
Yes, they are.
Are there any additions or corrections to be made?
No, there are
And the
not.
minutes stand approved as written. We now are at number 5 on the agenda, where the public can speak on any topic that does appear on tonight's agenda. If someone starts to speak, please wait your turn. We will take as long as needed to let everybody speak that wishes to speak. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. And I am going to be pretty diligent on this because we could have a good number of people calling in. So at the end of 3 minutes, I will ask you to stop. Anyone wishing to speak? Caller number 38.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Patty Scully, 1406 Springhaven Circle, Northeast. Surely the 73 signatures I provided you with, plus the 10 or more people in the movie theater Wednesday night that chose to show up rather than sign the petition, has to count for something. That's at least 54 homeowners saying no to rezoning. Also, 3 of the people who spoke against rezoning at the movie theater Wednesday don't even live in the neighborhood, and they are against rezoning. Craig Sanders can park 500 cars anywhere. We, on the other hand, can't move our homes. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you, Mrs. Scully. Next.
Hello,
Go ahead.
my name is Sandra Butler. I live at 1324 Springhaven Circle Northeast in Massillon. I am against rezoning. We bought this home as a retirement home for ourselves. It's a nice, lovely neighborhood. We do not need a big, huge parking lot to cheapen it and make it more commercial. I really feel that that piece of land should be made a city park by the City of Massillon. We need more green space. We need more playgrounds for kids to play on. We need a more beautiful area. We don't need more parked cars. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Next.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hello. Good evening. My name is Michael Verant. My wife Jane and I live at 1760 Springhaven Circle, Northeast. We are both against the rezoning. I know at the public hearing at the movie theater last week, we had to listen to people with thoughts of a rotting church, which is not true, and police activity in the parking lot, which was pointed out was only a traffic stop. I don't know if this is supposed to scare us into changing our mind or what, but we just are against rezoning. We're not against the church. We're not against Progressive Auto Group. We don't want commercial encroachment into our neighborhood. And I think the only logical compromise I can think of would be for the Progressive Auto Group to purchase the original 4 acres that were put up for sale. He could park a lot of cars in that 4 acres, and it would be minimal impact to neighbors or the neighborhood. Please consider voting no against this rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brant. Next.
At the intersection. The front.
Yes, may I speak?
Hello.
Hi, my name's Steve Sutherland, 1733 Chittenden Circle. As a neighbor of the property within the Springhaven Circle, my family and I object to rezoning of this property to B3 General Business District. This rezoning will be detrimental to the whole surrounding area of Massillon, but especially the near neighbors surrounding the St. John Church property. This drastic change will have both short and long-term consequences, of which have been highlighted far too many times that I don't feel I need to review again. We're in the midst of a pandemic right now, and as times had been normal, I believe you'd have seen more consistent community opposition to this rezoning had meetings taking place in council instead of over this telecommunication platform. The presence and message of many neighbors heard at the public hearing last week, again in objection to this proposed change, should solidify a no vote by council members. Progressive Auto Group currently is in possession of 5.71 acres and 4.45 acres respectively within the city of Massillon for their 2 dealerships. When you look at other Chevy dealerships near here in Stark County, the largest parcel possessor would only be in Hartville at 4.69 acres, while a competing Chrysler Dodge Jeep brand dealership in Alliance sits on only 2.73 acres. I ask, do we really need an additional 7 acres of residential land for a parking lot at a car dealership when they are already in possession of 10 acres of property? Council members, I respectfully request a no vote on this proposed zoning request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sutherland. Next.
Good evening. This is Jamie Slutes. I live at 1752 Springhaven Circle. I just want to say again that I am against the rezoning, along with my wife. She is also against that. Thank you.
Thank you. Before the next one speaks, I really appreciate you keeping your comments brief, and I hope that continues. Next.
Hello, can I speak?
Yes, please.
Good evening. My name is Margaret Coffey. My husband Kevin and I have raised our 5 children during the past 20 years in our home located at 1776 Springhaven Circle Northeast. We are opposed to the rezoning. Our kitchen window looks out onto the church property. As many of the women in the audience can attest to, we all know how many times a day we glance out our kitchen windows during our household activities. What can you see? You see joyful neighborhood children and grandchildren swinging, sliding, and climbing on the 2 wooden play sets located on the church property. You see families playing catch, a quick game of football, throwing frisbees, and even practicing golf swings. One spring, you watch a dad pulling a small 2-wheeler bike out of a car trunk so his daughter can practice riding in the church parking lot. 10 years later, you see that child, now a teen driver, practicing maneuverability skills with orange cones in the open church parking lot as helpful parents stand and direct the future driver. And church activities, weddings, Easter egg hunts, vacation Bible school and family reunions, anniversary and birthday parties in the church pavilion. What about the very full parking lot when the church members welcome the new associate pastor? The church-sponsored Boy Scout troop meeting is held weekly by the Scout Shed. Scouts and their leaders are setting up tents and practicing their survival skills for their monthly campouts. And the very recent Cub Scout trunk or treat held just on Monday. It's not every day you see a dinosaur running in a church parking lot. And you can't miss the wildlife either. Deer, a family of red-tailed hawks this summer, the gopher that lives under the Scout building, geese, the occasional wild turkey, raccoons, rabbits, and yes, even a skunk or two. What do we not want to see out of our kitchen window? A commercial zone lot. Keep our peaceful neighborhoods. Please vote no to rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Coffey. Next.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Yes, my name is John Dunn. I don't reside in Massillon, but I work at Progressive Chevrolet. And I've been to a lot of the hearings and meetings on this, and I just wanted to speak out for a lot of the people that are for this. I have over 100 employees report directly to me in the Progressive organization, and they understand that we need this expansion. And I think something else council needs to consider is there are a lot of people looking at what's going on with this situation. And I don't think Massillon wants to get a reputation for not taking care of and working with companies that have been in their town for decades. Let alone why would I want to move my business there? So I want to say that I am for this rezoning.
Thank you. Next.
Which was pretty interesting. Frontline, voice 20 minutes.
Fine.
Backstory.
Here's someone speaking. If you could please identify yourself and your address.
Oh, that.
Anyone else?
Yes, I'd like to speak.
Go ahead.
Okay, my name's Tom Season. I live at 1054 Street Northeast in Massillon. I appreciate the gentleman who just spoke from Progressive because I would like to speak in favor of the rezoning. I'd like to remind city council members, especially those at large, that you already have heard from the people of Massillon who voted you in to your office with the hope that you would represent the needs of the entire city, not just a select neighborhood in a specific part of town. That also goes for ward council people who you must uphold the desires and the best interest of the people in your wards also. You know, we're talking about a business here that employs 200 people, is a thriving, successful, job-producing, tax-paying a business that has been here since 1939. At the public hearing that we had not too long ago, Mr. Schultz talked about what makes a good community, strong neighborhoods and good schools. Well, what makes strong neighborhoods and good schools? Jobs. People have to work to be able to uphold those neighborhoods. Schools, taxes, property taxes that go into the schools that make those schools good. I don't know if I want to take the risk of voting against this, and I don't know what Mr. Sanders' plans are if it goes down, but if the business should happen to leave, if he's lured to another area, you have yourself to look at and say, you know, we did this. We lost these billions of dollars of tax revenue to our city. And I don't think the people of Springhaven and Charity Roch realize that they also depend upon these tax dollars. I just recently had my street fixed, and I depended on the tax dollars, the income tax dollars and the property tax dollars that are generated by the businesses in this town to take care of that. So I really think you need to take that into consideration. And finally, you know, the article in the newspaper last week said that our budget was down by $3 million. Can we take the risk of losing another business and having another impact upon our budget? So I just really think that City Council must take this into consideration, especially after Craig Sanders has worked diligently with everybody. And I really think that he was not treated very kindly by a lot of the people at the public hearing. And So I really think that the zoning should pass. Because I represent the other 32,000 people who live in this community who depend upon the taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Season. Anyone else?
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hi, yes, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I'll wait. Go ahead.
Okay, I live on Wales Road, and I just wanted to let
Excuse
everybody
me.
know that
Miss, ma'am, your name?
this is John McFerrin.
Go ahead.
Okay, I live on Wales Road, and I really don't think Progressive would ever leave this area. It sounds like that's just kind of a threat to get this passed. I'm against the rezoning with a lot of my neighbors, so I just wanted to call in and let you know.
Thank you, Mrs. McFerrin.
You're welcome. Bye.
Next.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hi, this is Kevin Coffey, 1776 Spring Haven Circle Northeast. My wife called earlier. I had not planned to speak tonight till I heard a couple previous callers. I'd just like to add a few comments. First of all, for the caller, 2 callers ago to presume to speak for 32,000 other people is ridiculous. We haven't taken a citywide vote on the rezoning. We don't know the opinions for or against other than the people in this area who are most directly affected. The drop in city property or in city tax revenues is an anomaly. We know it's due to the COVID-19 crisis. That's not something that's going to continue. It will eventually resolve. I have nothing personally against Mr. Sanders or Progressive, but to even suggest that he would pull up stakes and move a multi-million-dollar car dealership just out of spite that he lost a rezoning issue is ridiculous. We're the ones who live here. We're the ones who are directly affected. A caller said he had 100 people reporting to him. You have over 300 signatures of people who are affected in front of you. That's a fact. I believe the rezoning should be denied. I believe that one of the things that people look for when they're moving to Massillon is a city council that looks out for the interest of its residents. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Coffey. Excuse me, anyone else?
Hello? Hello?
Go ahead, ladies first.
Hello? Oh, hello?
Good, ma'am.
My name is Robin Schumacher. I live at 1784 Spring Haven Circle. My backyard is adjacent to St. John's parking lot, so this rezoning directly affects me. I look at the parking lot from my deck. I was one of the earliest residents of Spring Haven Circle, bought my house in 1988, raised 2 kids here, and watched the neighborhood grow. I do understand the plight of the church and Progressive's desire for growth, but I feel that commercial zoning will change the character of our neighborhood and will reduce our property values of our homes. I also worry about the future development on the property because there are no guarantees that it will always remain a parking lot. So I strongly oppose the zoning change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Schumacher. Next.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Dawn Henderson. I live at 1771 Spring Haven Circle, Massillon, Ohio. I just want to say that I'm new to the area. I've been here three months, and we moved here in the intent of enjoying the neighborhood in which we do. As far as the zoning that's going on, we don't agree with it because this is not what we moved into. We moved into a beautiful area. As far as the church, it hurt me a little bit when I heard them say of it being ugly. And I wanted to say that my husband had been at that church and helped a lot of alcoholics with their issues. And I think that the city council should consider, the rezoning. And with that, I'll just let go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Henderson. Next.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes. My name is Christine Avers.
And I'm Kenneth Avers.
And we live in Spring Haven at 1725 Chittenden Circle. You know, we've lived here since 1977 when we were then Perry Township. And we voted to become part of the city and was an essential link for the city expansion. You know, we are opposed to yet another asphalt parking lot and the loss of existing green space. You know, anywhere, but we can't move our neighborhood. We love our neighborhood and we want to keep it the way it is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Avers. Next.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Cindy Casabar. I'm from 1768 Spring Haven Circle. And as I'm hearing everybody talking about the pros and cons, the only thing I see is the only people that are going to benefit from this is progressive. So I'm going to say no to rezoning. Thank you.
Ms. Casabar. Next.
Nice laugh.
Anyone else?
My name is Ronald Milgrove. I live at 1792 Spring Haven Circle.
They don't turn their phones down.
And our backyard goes right into the church parking lot. And we're definitely against the rezoning, nothing against progressive or anything, but we like this neighborhood. We bought this neighborhood because of what type of neighborhood it was, and we'd like to see it kept that way. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ronald. Anyone else?
Madam President?
Yes.
Larry L.J. DeLuca, 2954 Veterans Boulevard Southeast, right here in Massillon, Ohio.
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to say I can understand. Thank you, Madam President. I just can say that I can see the people live there because I was in the same situation years ago. However, I just want to say I didn't like the way that was done with Progressive Chevrolet and the citizens that live near there. I think we should have handled it different. I think the mayor should have spoken about this. We should have taken maybe a group of 5 or 6 residents live on Spring Haven, Lenox, and so on and so forth, and have a more in-depth detail. Not that we have an open thing like this, that it was bashing Craig Sanders in a business, because we do. Let me tell you, I've worked with some businesses. I've been in this town, and we do have a problem getting businesses. But then again, I can see the neighbors thing too. But I want to say I don't believe the city council did a good job. I think Greg Sanders did a wonderful job of his presentation. But then it was like more of like just a potpourri of people saying everything, and I don't think we got very much accomplished by that. Craig Sanders did that. The people that live there close to this, the most directly affected, did their thing. And it just seems like it was a bash session. I did like Mr. I believe it was Mr. Sessions or something like that, Mr. Season's presentation. It was very detailed at the Lions Lincoln Theater. And I want to thank you, Madam President, for your help there at the Lions Lincoln Theater, and Diane Rowland as well. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. DeLuca. Next.
So can you hear me?
Yes, your name, please.
My name is Chris Henderson. I'm at 1771 Spring Haven Circle, Northeast Mass. I just wanted to say that I'm against the rezoning. I recently moved here to this community, and I was attracted more because of the serenity, because of the camaraderie I have among my neighbors, and just a very lovely location. I would hate to see that impacted by a lot of traffic, business traffic, and just a lot of commercial dealings around here. And it's really sad that when I consider the church, a church I've been affiliated with for over 10 years that we cannot replace the church with something of a more civic nature besides a parking lot. The community is based on these certain elements, and one of the elements was, something that engaged in civic activity. And the church has done that, and when you take that away, what is there to replace it? Cars? No, I think we ought to replace that. And I think Mr. Sanders have a great opportunity to demonstrate that he really is a part of our community. As he say, he is a neighbor. So as a neighbor, let's do the right thing. Instead of replacing it with a bunch of cars, let's try to rebuild that church up, or at least put some kind of a community center in there that's going to benefit the community and also benefit Progressive. So if that's not going to be part of the plan, no, I'm definitely against the rezoning for commercial purposes. Thank you for hearing me out.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Good evening, President Isnick.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening, President Isnick, City Council, all those tuned in tonight. This is Craig Sanders, President of Progressive Auto Group, the only new vehicle automobile dealership within the city limits of Massillon. First off, I need to give a shout out to Coach Nate Moore and his staff and the players for last week's win. And I'm sure I'll be tuned in this weekend to listen to Ray Jeske on ESPN 990, the next playoff game. So tonight, after many meetings and over 12 months of planning, City Council will vote on a zone change to the property that is on the corner of Hills and Dales in one of the busiest traffic state highways in Stark County, which is in the process of starting a $9.9 million road widening improvement project.
That'll make it
That tells me that it's a busy road and it's going to be.
Mr. Sanders, yes, can I interrupt
Can you
you
hear
for
me?
a minute?
Sure can.
Thank you. I will not tolerate the comments in the background. If I need the clerk to mute everybody except the person speaking, I will, but I will not tolerate the yakking in the background. Please respect the person speaking. Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Sanders.
Thank you. This area is already very commercial. When I bring people in from out of town, they look at it and they don't understand why it was ever zoned residential. The church that sits on this proposed property already has a large parking lot and a commercial looking structure on it. What I would be doing is hiding the commercial side of things, improving people's backyards and making it a prettier view that wildlife will flourish in. The children will be able to play in and ride their bikes, swing on swing sets, and do all kinds of things that residents will love. One of the residents, though, told City Council last Wednesday that this rezoning is more than just a vote for rezoning or a decision on a landscape plan. And I couldn't agree more. This vote is about setting a precedence. This vote shows the business community and other municipalities, not just Massillon, but all around Northeast Ohio, just how friendly Massillon, Ohio is to business.
1 minute.
That either supports its established businesses or chooses not to support businesses will send a message to future business that are deciding where to expand. Communities need businesses, and businesses need strong communities. But there are many communities searching far and wide for a business like you have right here, which is already in your backyard. If a community gets the reputation that it doesn't support businesses, then it's a slippery slope, and soon that city may find it hard to attract new businesses.
Please wrap it up.
This vote is being watched by many people. This vote is being watched, I will. This vote is being watched by many people because many people know and respect Progressive Auto Group. In 2019, Progressive Auto Group on Hills and Dales had a payroll of $10,826,820. For easy math, that's 216 jobs earning $50,000 a year and paying city income tax per year of $216,500. That's over $1 million paid to the city in 5 years. But don't forget, we've been doing this for over 80 years in Massillon.
5 seconds, Mr. Sanders.
Progressive Auto Group and its employees need the rezoning to grow. The city of Massillon needs this to grow, and Massillon's future and reputation needs this too. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you. Go ahead.
Thank you. This is David Schultz, and I am not going to repeat everything that I've said previously. It would be time consuming and redundant, but I will respond to a couple of things. I don't think Mr. Sanders needs the property that he wants to succeed in his business. As somebody noted earlier, he has plenty of acreage to operate a viable automobile dealership. What he wants to buy is a parking lot. And the parking lot comes at the expense of a neighborhood. In terms of taxes paid, I would simply add up all the taxes paid by all the residents around the dealership and what we've paid over the years, the man hours that we've donated to community projects, and the thousands of dollars that we've paid to charitable organizations as well. Massillon is friendly to business. It always has been, and it always will be.
Are you finished, Mr. Schultz?
Yes, I am.
Thank you very much. Next. Going once. Anyone else?
Can I say something I was on a little bit ago? Could I add something to my comment?
This will be the last one then. Go ahead.
Okay. Why can't
Your name?
just a portion? Oh, this is Mrs. John McFerrin. I'm on Wales Road. Why can't just a portion of that church property be sold? Leave the church and the parking lot alone, and then the neighborhood would be happy about that. Just take maybe, I don't know, 3/4 of the property or a half or something, and then everybody would be happy. He's getting part that he needs, and the church and parking lot are there for the neighborhood like it's been.
Thank you, Mrs. McFerrin.
I belong to the church, and I hate to see it be torn down. So, okay, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to new and miscellaneous business. Diane, do we have any?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Now we're going to move into introduction of ordinances, ordinance number and resolutions. Ordinance number 108, 2020.
Claudette, you're looking at the wrong sheet.
Well, Diane, this is what
Sheet last week. This should be the sheet for November the 2nd. I emailed it to you.
I thought that's what I printed.
Yep.
Okay. Well, then I'm in a world of hurt. Because I did not print off the big one. All right.
We're at ordinance number 114, 2020.
Mr. Lewis, you have that in front of you?
I do, but that would go to Miss Starrett.
Okay, if you would move on and I will try to get the correct one. Go ahead.
Ordinance authorizing. I'm sorry?
Go ahead, Diane.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Massillon, Ohio to enter into an agreement with Leppy and Company LLC to provide an economic development inducement grant to fund startup costs, including build-out at property located at 13 Penn Avenue Southeast, Massillon, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. Councilwoman Sterrett.
Thank you. First reading.
Ordinance number 114-2020 received first reading. Ordinance number 115-2020.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Massillon, Ohio, to enter into an agreement with the Legacy Project of START to provide an economic development grant to fund the cost for expansion at the property located at 708 Tremont Avenue Southwest, Massillon, Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Mrs. Sterrett.
Thank you. First reading.
Ordinance number 115-2020 received first reading. Ordinance number 116-2020.
An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service and Safety of the City of Massillon, Ohio, to advertise for and receive sealed bids and to enter into a contract with the lowest and best bidder upon the approval of the Board of Control for the Erie Street South Underpass Guardrail Attenuators Replacement Project and declaring an emergency.
Mr. Ferret.
Thank you, sir. This ordinance is pretty straightforward, as Mr. Popio, I believe, was helping us with last week. It's to improve and increase the safety factors at the underpass on South Erie. If there's any questions from Mr. Popio, I believe he's online. Members of council.
I'm sorry, Mr. Farrer, what did you say?
One, I just asked if there was any comments from members of council.
I'm not seeing any.
And I would make a motion that we waive the rules and bring ordinance 114-2020 up for vote tonight.
Seconded by
Creamer.
Council Creamer. Roll call for suspension.
This is ordinance 116-2020.
Yes.
All right. Yes. Old eyes.
Second.
By Creamer. Roll call for suspension.
Gregg.
Yes.
Halter.
Yes.
Armcane.
Yeah.
Lewis.
Yes.
Littman.
Yes.
Lombardi. Sterrett.
Yes.
Barrett.
Yes.
And Creamer.
Yes.
9 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Halter.
Yes.
Armcane.
Yes.
Lewis. Littman.
Yes.
Yes.
Lombardi.
Yes.
Sterrett.
Yes.
Barrett.
Yes.
Creamer.
Yes.
And Gregg.
Yes.
9 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Ordinance number 116-2020 has passed. Ordinance number 117-2020.
An ordinance making certain transfers of the 2020 appropriations from within the 1100 General Fund for the year ending December 31st, 2020, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis.
Yes. First, can I request that we mute all just to cut down on the background noise?
Okay.
And thank you. First reading.
Okay, let me do Claudette.
Oh, I got it. Ordinance number 117-2020 has received first reading. Ordinance number 118-2020.
An ordinance to adopt the appropriations for the operating and capital expenditures of the City of Massillon, Ohio for the fiscal year 2021 and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis.
First reading.
Thank you. Ordinance number 118-2020 has received first reading. Ordinance number resolution number 17-2020.
A resolution requesting the Stark County Auditor and the Stark County Treasurer to make an advance payment to the City of Massillon, Ohio, of real estate taxes collected by Stark County on behalf of the city during 2021 fiscal year.
Councilman Lewis.
Yes, this resolution is just a standard resolution that we pass every year, allowing the city to collect income due to it from the county in advance of actual collection by the county. Are there any questions or discussion this evening? All right, I make a motion that we suspend the rules requiring 3 readings, bringing resolution number 17-2020 forward for a vote.
Seconded by
Councilwoman Sterrett.
Thank you. Roll call for suspension.
Hurricane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi, Sterrett,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
and Halter.
Yes.
9 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sterrett,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Yes.
Gregg, Halter,
Yes.
and Hernkane.
Yes.
9 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolution number 17-2020 has passed. Resolution number 18-2020.
A resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission, authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor as listed on the attached Exhibit A and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis.
Again, this is an annual resolution that we submit to the county, showing the need for the levies that are operating within the city. Are there any questions or discussion this evening? Seeing none, I make a motion that we suspend the rules requiring 3 readings, bringing resolution number 18-2020 forward for a vote.
Seconded by
Councilman Gregg.
roll call for suspension.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sterrett,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Hernkane,
Yes.
and Lewis.
Yes.
9 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Sterrett,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Hernkane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
and Littman.
Yes.
9 yes for passage.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Resolution number 18-2020 has passed. Madam Clerk, is there any unfinished business?
No, there is not.
Are there any petitions and general communications?
No, there are not.
Are there any bills, accounts, and claims?
Yes, we have a bill in the amount of $279.96 payable to Graphic Enterprises for thermometers, maps, and sanitation wipes.
Councilman Lewis,
I make a motion to pay the bills.
seconded by
Councilwoman Sterrett.
roll call.
Sterrett,
Yes.
Barrett,
Yes.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Hernkane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
and Lombardi.
Yes.
9 yes to pay the bills, and these bills will be paid through the COVID-19 funds in the auditor's office.
Thank you. The clerk will pay the bills and charge them to their proper accounts. Are there any reports of city officials?
Yes, we have the mayor's report for September 2020.
Thank you. The mayor's report has been accepted. Reports of committees. Our next work session will be Monday, November 9th, 2020 at 6:30. Anyone have anything? Resolutions and requests of council members. Resolutions and requests of council members. Okay. Call of the calendar. Ordinance number 88, 2020.
Ordinance number 88, 2020 was tabled October 20th until November 2nd, 2020. And it is an ordinance amending the zoning map of the City of Massillon, Ohio by rezoning certain real property from R31 Family Residential District to B3 General Business District.
Councilwoman Starrett.
Thank you, Madam President. Obviously, this is a decision council has been contemplating and struggling over for about the last almost 6 months at this point. So is there any further discussion before this comes to vote at this time?
Councilman Barrett.
Thank you, Madam President. Before we vote on this issue, I want to make sure that it's not overlooked or minimized. I've listened to and read all the objections of those citizens living in the area of the proposed zoning. Many mentioned the 300 signatures of citizens collected that oppose this rezoning. Upon reading the recently submitted publication containing these lists of signatures, I could not help noticing that the lion's share, well over 200, were actually collected in 2017. The list contains less than 30 signatures, but I understand there was a few more added tonight that were marked on this 2020 sheet. I can only possibly conclude that many of those objected to the rezoning in 2017 have either seen something better proposed with this or possibly maybe believe that this proposal is worth a compromise. However, even if all 300 are still adamant against rezoning, what about the 500 or so members of the congregation of the church that has been desperately trying to sell this property for nearly 10 years? They have rights too. They have the right to be heard and considered. Right now, they cannot fulfill their mission because all their resources are being spent maintaining a building they no longer need or can afford. These citizens and neighbors have been more than patient and kind throughout this ordeal, but it's time to consider their needs as well. And while we're on the subject of numbers, what say the 30,000 plus taxpayers, citizens of Massillon throughout the rest of the city? Although I did not personally speak to everyone, no one outside the few that I have addressed the council from the immediate area have any objection to the rezoning. I have been urged at every turn to grant this rezoning, citing that the city needs the jobs and the tax revenue. I've heard numerous times the suggestion of using this plot to build housing, and I understand that the church administration has been trying to do just that, but to no avail. The location is not suitable for development as residential, as indicated by the lack of market interest. So this parcel is ideally suited for the commercial development that we see proposed before us. This unique and beautiful country of ours was founded on solid principles, one of which is the laissez-faire attitude of government toward the workings of a free market. That is one of the great benefits of our republic versus socialism, where the government controls every aspect of life. To us, this issue is being drawn out for all this time, seems like forever. In a partly socialist country like England, it can literally take decades to buy and sell property because of government regulations. The subject of traffic has spoken of many times. Wales Road, State Route 241, is and has been a very busy highway. When you buy or build a house on or near a highway, you cannot complain about the traffic that traverses there day by day. This being said, I urge all the members of council to pass this legislation and grant the rezoning as enumerated before us tonight. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilwoman Littman?
Thank you, President Eisnick. As I'm sure it is for many other council people, this decision has been very difficult for me personally. I have walked the neighborhoods several times. I have used progressive dealership myself on many occasions, as well as looked at the church area itself. And you can really put yourself in any of those three organizations or individuals' shoes. And certainly it's understandable why there are such differences of opinions, because it is truly, what is benefiting or detrimental to that specific group of individuals. So, I will say that as an elected official, it's my view that we are to not make this a personal decision. Because if I wasn't elected to bring Linda Littman's agenda to this forum. It's my job as an elected official to listen to my constituents. And that, to me, it's not just the constituents of the 6th Ward, it is constituents of the entire city, because we all benefit or have some detriment to this decision. My thought is I believe that there is a compromise to be had. And it was very interesting that one of the callers previously has asked Mr. Sanders if there is an opportunity for him to do what he needs to do, because I personally am very pro-business for the city of Massillon. Are we able to look at a compromise where a portion of this property would certainly satisfy the needs of the dealership, which of course would be the direct corner that is already commercialized, versus the backyards of so many of the neighboring residents. So I think at this point, I'm looking at this problem does not go away with this vote, because if this is a vote that is turned down, then I think that it's going to rise again at some point in the future. So we are certainly kicking the can down the road to perhaps new council members, new administration, new residents for that matter. So I would ask at this point that we as council members consider, and I will say voting no for this this particular ordinance, but I would like to see a compromise where the corporation. I'm very much a fan of Progressive Chevrolet. I think they do a lot for our city. I think they can certainly expand on perhaps a 4-acre lot there. But recognizing that, I'm for rezoning when it comes to a particular area in that 7.2 acres that can satisfy both parties. So I'm not looking for something to be, done immediately, but certainly I think that there's an adjustment that can be done to this ordinance that will be able to satisfy both parties. Now, unfortunately, I don't think that this has really been pursued prior to this vote. But I feel for the residents, because I walked that property again today, just trying to feel, putting myself in their shoes. I walked the property of Progressive, putting myself in his shoes, and quite frankly, they're both right. And I think there's a compromise to be had if we work together to do so. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Littman. Councilman Gregg?
Thank you, Madam President. This has been an extremely difficult decision for me. I've got close friends in that neighborhood. I've talked to many people from the neighborhood. I think if you ask anybody that's approached me to talk, I've been willing to talk. I've spent time with them one-on-one, one-on-two, small groups. I've been in the meetings, met with Mr. Sanders, gone over his proposal. As far as a compromise is concerned, my feeling is compromise is already in front of us. I think Mr. Sanders has done more than could be expected to address the citizens' issues and concerns about this proposal. I think that that the issues come down to not wanting change, which is something we can't control. Change is going to happen, and this gives us a chance to maybe have some control over that change. And also being concerned about property values. And I can't say, and no one can say what will happen to those property values, but I believe they will. I don't think they will diminish by any amount, any significant amount, perhaps even be enhanced because you have a well manicured, well maintained area instead of a building that's deteriorating and a lot that's sitting empty. So I have given strong consideration both ways. I had early on fluctuated back and forth on this decision. I've talked to many people, as I said, but I'm in favor of rezoning. I think that we need to show not only businesses that would be considered coming to Massillon that we are business friendly, but especially businesses that have been here for decades, that we are willing to support them and allow them to grow. And I don't mean at the detriment of our citizens. If I thought this was to the detriment of the neighbors to any great degree, I wouldn't be in support of it, but I don't believe that it is, and therefore I support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Gregg. Anyone else? Anyone else? Councilwoman Starrett?
Thank you, Ms. Eisnick. Before I bring this forward for a vote, I do have one final comment. I do appreciate all of council members' difficult thought and the time that everybody has put into making this decision. But I will say, I think I agree with Mr. Gregg at this point. This is probably, there's been multiple requests for rezoning that's come before City Council over the years for this piece of property. And I think this has been the most comprehensive, most considerate, and the most thoughtful plan that has been put together. There was clearly a lot of planning and a lot of meeting with residents and a lot of consideration for the residents placed into this plan before it was even brought before us. I think a no vote is just kicking the can down the road further for somebody else to deal with. It's pretty clear that the church is going to be vacating that property within the next how many years. And I think the future of that piece of property is in City Council's hands at this point. The city has already been dealt a pretty hard blow with the loss of the hospital, and City Council attempted to do everything we could to bring some employment back to that area, and we were unable to do it. And at this point, I worry that a no vote will cause another blow to the city's economy, and we will lose another large business in the city. That's my comment. Is there any further? Well, Ms. Eisnick, I do see Mr. Lewis has a comment before I bring it forward for a vote.
Councilman Lewis?
I'm sorry, Ms. Starrett. I was debating whether or not I wanted to speak. This has been an extremely difficult decision for me, and a lot of thought and listening. There's a few things that I have considered heavily over the last week. One of the things is I think the way this entire question has been framed to council has been framed in error. This is not a rezoning being done necessarily by Progressive Auto Group and a group of citizens that are opposed to it. This is a church asking for rezoning. Progressive AutoZone does not own that property. With that said, in the past 3 months, I don't believe I've seen or heard from one member of that church. So if the petitioning party has not asked me to do the rezoning and come and spoken in favor of it, it was said that this church could potentially have up to 500 members. Well, where are all those members speaking to council? I haven't heard from them. They haven't called me. They haven't written to me. They aren't flooding our phone lines to speak at council meetings. That's concerning to me that has not occurred. It's been said that maybe housing can go there, maybe it cannot. I am not a real estate expert, so I cannot speak to what could or could not go there. But as I drive around the area, I can say that on the corner of Stool Dryer and Hills and Dales, there is new condo developments. And I would say that that intersection is nearly as busy because everybody that makes a right turn onto Hills and Dales ends up at Stool Dryer in less than a mile. And they're doing residential development right on that corner as well. As a council member, I am elected. As at large, I am elected to represent the entire city. And the only way I can represent the entire city is by hearing from its citizens. I can say that personally, I've only had 2 or 3 citizens out of 32,000 that have reached out to me in support of this. But I've easily heard from 30 or more in opposition. So with all that said, how can I vote yes when I haven't heard from the petitioning party at great length, and I have not heard from citizens at great length? All I have heard is the neighborhood that is opposed and the business that I actually do support. I've recently went there and purchased my own vehicle from that business. So I do support them being in our city. But that is the guidelines that I've been using as I think about that tonight and why my vote will be as it is when we cast it.
Thank you, Councilman Lewis. Councilman Barrett?
Thank you, President Izzy. Actually, with all due respect, all of the members of council should have gotten the letter from the pastor of the church that was submitted for this rezoning. And on at least one occasion, it was mentioned, at least, that the church's administration was deferring all of its time to the Progressive Auto Group to present their case. So they have been represented, they have asked for it, and they have been heard. So I'm not sure what was missed there, but they were definitely involved in all this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Barrett. Councilwoman Creamer?
Just a few comments. When this was presented to the Planning Commission Board, that vote was 4-3. And those 3 individuals, which 2 was from our administration, Mayor Kathy Cadizera and Safety Service Director Sylvester. So if those 2 individuals plus one of the board members voted against this rezoning, I'm questioning the negative impact of this zoning request that has been stated tonight, because those individuals in administration should have the best interest of the city put forth. So if they were not able to vote in favor of this rezoning, you know, what are we saying? So I just wanted to put that out there for people to understand where we're at. It's a very difficult decision, but the statements that are made, I think we're just speaking from our opinions, and I just want to thank everyone that has reached out to me, both for and against this moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Creamer. Anyone else?
Madam President, Mr. Hernkane.
Councilman Hernkane?
Thank you, Madam President. I would just like to reiterate what I stated several months ago when this matter was initially brought forward, and want to put on record that I have a conflict of interest in this matter and will abstain from voting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hernkane. Anyone else? Councilman Barrett?
Thank you. Ms. Creamer brings up a very good point, and I've been wanting to get the answers to that too. Why why would our city administration be against this? I know that there's someone on there, they voted against it, and I was frankly, I was shocked that they just want to, well, I won't even make any suppositions, but I would ask that the mayor and the safety service director answer that question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ferret. Councilman Lombardi.
Thank you, President Eisnick. Once again, I'd like to just stress that we have a majority of the people who are living right on the edge of that property who are against this. And, you know, we as a council should also be in support of them, overwhelmingly so, from many residents in that area. And I also have to agree with what Mr. Lewis said. We really haven't heard anything from
Mr. Lombardi, unless it's just me, you're breaking up.
anyone in the. Okay, I'm sorry. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. I've only heard from 2 or 3 people, or 3 or 4 people, who are in favor of this, and 2 didn't even live, you know, anywhere in the ward, let alone in the neighborhood. So I have to reiterate once again, and representing the people in this neighborhoods, that we really need to consider what, you know, preserving, you know, the neighborhood preservation, the quality of life, property values. They have many concerns that they've raised to everyone on this council, and I think we really need to take those to heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Lombardi. Councilman Gregg.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to touch on a point that Councilwoman Creamer brought up earlier regarding the Planning Commission. She mentioned 3 voted against this proposal, but 4, the majority did vote for the proposal. That's the entity that we trust to look through these matters, vet them, and determine what is the best solution in a question like this. And it was also stated in that from the meeting from that commission that the best use of that property was for commercial use. As far as development, residential development is concerned, I think if that was going to happen, it would have happened by now. That property's been for sale for many years. And I just wanted to state, as far as representation of citizens of Massillon, I feel like I was elected to represent, first of all, the citizens of Ward 3, and then the entire city of Massillon. And I think by supporting a business that's already here that wants to grow, I think that's what I'm doing. So that's why I'm voting the way I'm voting. And that's all I'll say on the subject. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Eisnick.
Thank you, Councilman Gregg. Councilwoman Halter.
Thank you, Mrs. Eisnick. I've been relatively quiet on this subject, but I will speak. Having worked 8 years at the Massillon Chamber of Commerce and working for the Massillon Development Foundation, my mindset is to watch over and take care of local businesses. Therefore, I'm very much in favor of this rezoning. The only neighbors that I have heard from are the maybe 7 or 8 neighbors in that neighborhood, a couple of which have been very disrespectful towards me, but that's okay. I have talked to many citizens throughout the whole city, many on the west side. Many people are in favor of this. They don't think that the church or the way the area looks right now is very acceptable. And having that I have lived for since 1967, I moved to Erdel Avenue, and I have lived a half a block from the Massillon Hospital, and at the time we moved there, it was beautiful. We have had to go through many changes at that hospital, and for the last 2 or 3 years, we've had to look at a mess. And yet the neighbors on a 4-block area have never complained to City Council. They have never complained to the mayor that I know of. We have been very, very courteous and just waiting patiently for something to happen. So I'm just a little upset with the neighbors up there. Had arguments with a few of them. Probably won't speak to some of them anymore. They won't speak to me. But this is my job right now. And I'm looking for the whole city. I'm looking over the whole city. The people up there have to understand Wales Road is going to be widened. They're going to have more traffic. They've always had traffic. I can't see where this is going to make a big change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Halter. Anyone else? Seeing none, Councilwoman Starrett.
Thank you, Madam President. At this point, I would ask that we bring ordinance number 88-2020 forward for a vote.
Roll call.
Second by Lewis.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis. Roll call.
Kramer,
No.
Gregg,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Bernstein,
Abstain.
Lewis,
No.
Littman,
No.
Lombardi,
No.
Starrett,
Yes.
and Barrett.
Yes.
Okay, we have 4 yes, 4 no, and 1 abstention. Council President?
As I had mentioned earlier, I will not vote on this issue because I am personally involved. I live 2 houses from the property, so it definitely affects me. And I'm council president, and I really feel it is a conflict of interest, so I am abstaining.
So we have a tie. 4 yes, 4 no.
So what does that mean?
Madam President,
Councilman Lewis?
we can request discussion from the law director, but from my understanding of Robert's Rules of Order, the motion would have failed to receive the affirmative.
Do we have someone from the law
In order for
department?
a motion to pass, it has to receive 5.
Does someone from the law department want to comment on that? Mr. Bartos?
I believe he may be muted.
Diane, can you unmute them? Either him or Mr. Richard?
I'm trying to unmute him, but it's not working. I think he has, if he's on his phone, he probably has to do it himself.
Hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. This is Justin Richard. Councilman Lewis is correct on both measures. It does take a majority vote, so even with the abstention, it would take 5 votes to win, but it also does not pass without a majority vote regardless. So it fails on both measures, so the ordinance would fail.
Thank you, Mr. Bartos. Ordinance
That
number
was Mr.
88.
Richard.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Richard. Ordinance number 88-2020 has failed. Third reading ordinance and resolutions. There are none. Second reading ordinance and resolutions. Ordinance number 108-2020.
An ordinance amending Chapter 919 Sidewalk and Curb Replacement Program of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Massillon, Ohio.
Councilman Barrett?
Thank you. Second reading.
Thank you. Ordinance 108-2020 has received second reading. Ordinance number 109-2020.
An ordinance authorizes the mayor and the director of public service and safety of the city of Massillon, Ohio, to enter into a one-year contract with the Board of Trustees of Local Organized Government Incorporation, Logic, for fire department and police department dispatch services and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis?
Yes, we've seen this for a couple of meetings now. Are there any questions or discussion before I move to bring it forward? All right, I make a motion that we suspend the rules requiring 3 readings, bringing ordinance number 109-2020 forward for a vote.
Seconded by?
Councilwoman Starrett.
Thank you. Roll call for suspension.
Barrett,
Sure.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
and Starrett.
Yes.
9 yes for suspension.
And for passage.
Creamer,
Yes.
Gregg,
Yes.
Halter,
Yes.
Kern Kane,
Yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Littman,
Yes.
Lombardi,
Yes.
Starrett,
Yes.
and Barrett.
Yes.
9 yes for passage.
Madam Clerk, ordinance number 109-2020 has passed. Ordinance number 110-2020.
An ordinance declaring the improvement of certain real property located in the city of Massillon, Ohio, to be a public purpose, declaring such property to be exempt from real property taxation, designating the improvements to be made that will directly benefit or serve such real property, requiring the owner of such real property to make annual service payments in lieu of taxes, establishing a municipal public improvement tax increment equivalent fund for the deposit of service payments, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Lewis?
Second reading.
Thank you. We have number 17 on the agenda, where anyone from the audience or the community can comment on any items not on tonight's agenda. If you wish to do so, please state your name, address, and topic you wish to discuss, and please limit your comments to 3 minutes or less. Anyone?
They're all muted, President Eisnick.
Oh, Diane, could you unmute everybody?
I'm sorry.
We're waiting for everyone to get muted so anybody can talk if they wish. Just bear with us for a minute.
Well, it says that they can unmute them. Attendees can unmute themselves now.
Okay, if anyone out there would like to speak, please unmute yourself.
I would just say that many of the people, if they're on a phone, they may not know how to unmute themselves.
Star 6.
Star 6.
Star 6, for anyone interested. It looks like Alert 9 was trying to talk, I'm not certain. Anyone? Going once? Going twice? Councilman Lewis?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Seconded by?
Mr. Littman.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.